Hello everyone, so for this video on barbershop fragrances, I thought wouldn't it be great to hire a real barbershop quartet to sing a song about Mr. Smelly's favourite barbershop fragrances. But that costs a lot of money, so I did a song myself.
Mr. Smelly's barbershop fragrances, 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 Mr. Smelly's barbershop fragrances,
Lavender, Tonka, OAKMOSS and VETIVER, 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 Lavender, Tonka, OAKMOSS and VETIVER.
You're gonna smell like shaving foam. 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 You're gonna smell like shaving foam.
Shit. Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be having a look at my top 6 designer barbershop fragrances. Stay tuned for a guest appearance by Ryan from RyzFragz34, giving us a couple of his favourite designer barbershop fragrances in the middle of this video. What is a barbershop fragrance? No one seems to quite know, because I've seen videos where people mention all kinds of things, from Chanel Pour Mature to Knies 10 to Prada Amber Pour Homme to 4711, the kind of classic citrus cologne, and also Jean Paul Gaultier La Mal. So very difficult to pin down, but I think we're looking at something that stems perhaps from stuff like Brut from Fougere, a kind of soapy green mossy smell, and of course from Houbigont's original Fougere back in the 19th century, Fougere Royale. It's an aromatic Fougere kind of fragrance we're looking at, which means fern-like. So with barbershop scents, we're looking for something that gives the air of a well-groomed, clean, well-presented gentleman. Maybe a little bit of a powdery feel, if you think of the talcum powder that they might put on your neck in some barbershops. Maybe smelling even a little bit like shaving foam. So we're going to have some mossiness, green notes, probably lavender, and a kind of soapy but masculine overall accord. Really, it's about an atmosphere, an aura, a feeling that the scents evoke as much as any specific note or genre. But the aromatic Fougere is probably a good place to sort of focus with this style. So let's have a look. Ones that are from designer houses and smell great, let's check them out. I've got another one on niche fragrances, which are barbershop. Check that out, link in description below. And I will do one on aftershaves, you know, stuff that costs less than a designer fragrance, stuff like this and Pinard Clubman, and other more modern takes on that as well, coming soon. But these are the designer fragrance houses efforts, so usually they're going to be eau de toilettes. First of which then is PACO RABANNE Pour Homme from 1973. I'm lucky to have a vintage bottle, and the box looks like that. We can see no barcode, so it's really quite old. I think it's from 86 to 92, that era, having done some research. Fantastic example of a barbershop fragrance. I've got some on my hand here. I must say the vintage smells a lot better to my nose than the one that we have in the shops today, so I'm really happy that I tracked it down. So can't really recommend the one in the shops today as being that great, if I'm honest. There are better choices out there. This one, if you can find a vintage on eBay for a reasonable price, I think I would recommend it if you're into this kind of thing. Some of the notes include rosemary, clary sage, rosewood, geranium. There's often florals in these. Tonka and lavender, like in my song. And there's all oak moss and musk, amber and honey as well. So there is a little bit of sweetness about this one. Perfumier, by the way, Jean Martel. Herbal, green, a little bit of bergamot, I think, that you don't get listed in the notes. Very clean and soapy smelling, but it's a slightly old-fashioned soap, or could be something a bit like if someone had been using some shaving foam. You can smell that. It's that kind of men's bathroom in a good way smell. Really like it. Really strong. Masculine. Doesn't have any animalic stuff like you get in Chorus and stuff that came along later. These other sort of powerhouses. This is seen as a bit of a powerhouse. Does perform very strongly. Has that real oak moss that's probably banned today and you can't get it in the modern formula. That's maybe what's giving it that little bit of extra oomph. Definitely a real classic scent, and if you can track down the vintage juice, it has that masculine, soapy green, mossy vibe. Some nice herbals and some florals, and definitely a sweetness that never detracts from the overall masculinity and cleanliness of this fragrance. But it certainly won't, and cleanliness of this fragrance, but it certainly won't appeal to everybody. You've got to like your old school barbershop scents to go for that one. The same could perhaps be said of our next contender. It's AZZARO pour Homme from the house of Louis AZZARO. 1978 saw the release of this one. Again, it's an aromatic fougere. It's got all these mossy things. It's got the musk, and it's got a clean soapy feel, but it's also got the crucial addition of the note of anise, giving an almost licorice-like kind of smell with this one, which, or maybe aniseed is the thing that you smell. In fact, aniseed is mentioned on the back of the box. So it's got that soapiness, that mossy fougere, masculine, clean yet rugged underlying smell to this one. But the addition of a little bit of sweetness in there, and this rather interesting twist of the anise, which we're going to see also in a later one that's coming up later in the list, really was a classic and very popular fragrance at the time. Definitely giving this barbershop kind of soapy, shaving foam-esque aura about the wearer, and really one of the fragrances that we have to refer to when we talk about designer companies making barbershop type scents. A little bit contentious maybe today. Not everyone's going to warm to this. You might be confused with smelling like someone's dad, granddad or uncle, so be careful. You have to be into this style of fragrance, and it won't necessarily be a big crowd pleaser. I've got a slightly vintage version. There's a few different issues of this one, and the modern bottle looks a bit different. I can only speak for the one I've got, actually. Haven't really tried the modern one much. I do enjoy it, but I don't reach for it massively, but I had to put it in the list because it was such a historically important barbershop scent. But I think it's been perfected in the form of another fragrance influenced by it that's coming up later in the list, but worth checking out, particularly if you can find a vintage bottle. Next up, we're staying with some old scents, because the barbershop genre is a little bit old-fashioned. It's going to be Givenchy XERYUS, an obscure and sometimes now forgotten fragrance. So in 1986, Givenchy released their aromatic fougere XERYUS with this fantastic Art Deco-esque bottle. Really fantastic design on that one. You can still get this in the reissue series of Parfums Mythique from Givenchy. I haven't tried that version. I have seen Matt from Fragrance Matt do a review, and he says it's really good, so you could take a chance on that one if you can't find a vintage bottle that looks like this one, maybe on eBay. The one I've got then anyway is really definitely a barbershop soapy kind of smell to me. I'm not sure everyone says this is a barbershop type scent, but I went with that idea that I said earlier. It's the aura, the feeling that it creates. I think it's a barbershop scent. It's got the crucial addition, along with a lot of the other notes that all the others had, of incense, and there's more of a bit of an ambery feel. There's an amber note in this one as well. It's a bit of more of a warm and maybe dark feel with this one, but it's still overall a really beautiful soapy, masculine, old school smelling scent, and it does remind me of something I'd expect in a barbershop in the 1980s. So for me, XERYUS, worth checking out, and a little bit of an underrated one in our community. Now, I'm flipping it over to my good friend Ryan from the United States, and his fantastic channel RyzFragz is one you absolutely must check out if you haven't already. He's got an incredible collection, and he was a huge influence on me when I started. Learned a lot about fragrances from him, and still watch every video he puts up. So over to you, Ryan.
Guys, Mr. Smelly 1977, I cannot thank you enough, my friend, for asking me to join you in a little collaboration video about some barbershop / fougere fragrances. Thank you so much for that, my friend. I really truly from my heart loved your channel, still do from day one. You know, you've made us laugh so hard. Just excellent, brilliant ideas with your videos, and you really know your fragrances. I can just tell you have such a passion and love for this hobby and passion we have. So, but thank you so much, means a lot. Of course, 1977, what a year. Two excellent, fantastic fragrance reviewers born in 1977. That would be me and Mr. Smelly. But thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. And Dan, again, thank you, my friend, for letting me be a part of it. Thinking about you, I wanted to, I've been really getting into some drinks lately. And, I used to be just kind of like a Miller Lite guy, things like that, a couple here and there. But now I'm really getting to like IPAs and some really good beers. And there's a friend at my work who's really into it, and I'm kind of helping him with fragrances. He's helping me with some beverages. So, but on you tonight here, cheers, my friend. This one actually is, it says drink fresh. It's called Slip-Ons, just from a local brewery, but 6.5 alcohol. It's a pint. It's brewed right here in Cambridge, Maryland. So, but cheers to you, my friend. Excellent. Nice little citrusy, fresh beer, which I like. It's an ale, of course. But guys, thank you so much again. Getting on with this one. This is a video for like Fougere / barbershop fragrances and just designer. You know, I could definitely pick out a few niche fragrances that do fit the bill, but this is strictly on designer. I picked two. These are just excellent, like straight out of the barbershop, you know, fragrances that we all think about, we all know, but they are some classics. I'm glad I have the bottles of them as well. But the first one I'm going to get into, as you guys know, the great, you know, just that kind of that 1980s kind of looking bottle kind of thing going on, a little kind of retro kind of thing, but we just love this one. It's By. Now again, this one, guys, has that little bit of hints of tobacco, has that lavender and a lot of sandalwood. You know, you're gonna get those in barbershop fragrances, the sandalwood, the lavender. You know, they're clean, they're shaving cream kind of smell, they're, you know, that creaminess to them. This one is great. It you know, sometimes people think it leans a little bit more femme. I think there's a little bit more florals in this one, but bar none, one of the best, you know, just fragrances out there ever. I mean, I love this one. This is definitely a classic in the community. It's always going to be, but By Dolce & Gabbana, By Man, it's an unbelievable Fougere / barbershop fragrance. I love this one. Now this one, of course, just screams barbershop. There's really nothing like it I mean, this literally is just barbershop. This is shaving cream, clean. It has some fresh spices. It's green. I believe it has like I think there's a fern note, if I'm not mistaken, but that's probably the green coming out of it. It's an awesome masterpiece of a fragrance. And as you guys probably know already, Yves Saint Laurent Rive Gauche. Unbelievable fragrance, guys. This one's the older bottle. I just think this stuff is absolutely incredible. The spray around is amazing. The bottle's great. It's just this all-time classic again. And guys, there it is. Just straight out of the just fresh, clean barbershop, you know, that awesome fragrance. So guys, those are my two, Rive Gauche and By Man. There's so many more probably. You know, I just did a review on Prada Amber Pour Homme Intense, and guys, that one kind of has, you know, that little, it's more on the sweeter side. It's got amber and stuff. Amber really isn't a barbershop kind of feel to it, but it has this kind of this powderiness, and it's kind of like a fresh, spicy powder that almost kind of reminds you of that, like when some, you know, when you're getting your haircut after it's done, and they just take the brush with the powder on the back, and they kind of, you know, wipe your neck off with it, and that kind of get the loose hairs and kind of just powder you up a little bit so you don't get any like those burns behind your neck. That kind of has that smell to it. I think it maybe combines with your shampoo and just maybe your skin and that, but it just kind of has that, you know, that barbershop kind of thing going on, and just that cleansiness out of it. But again, might be just the powderiness of it. I'm not sure, but it kind of has that creamy, you know, that barbershop kind of the shaving cream, you know, thing going on. But don't want to ramble on too much, but Dan, I can't thank you enough. I'm sure I'm missing a couple in there for designer fragrances for the barbershop, but these two just came to mind, and I can't wait to hear about yours and what they are going to be. But Dan, again, thank you so much again, and we will talk to you soon, guys. Again, RyzFragz34, so glad to be a part of this community, and Mr. Smelly, I love you, bud. Talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks very much, Ryan. Excellent choices. Let's see if I also put them in my list. And yeah, beer-wise, this is kind of early evening, I'm not drinking it, but I must recommend this one, Goose IPA, American beer, and this is just a very easy to drink, not super ridiculously hoppy, but very well hopped compared to traditional English ale. Lovely American IPA that you should all check out. Widely available, because I think it's distributed by the people who do Budweiser beer. Unfortunately, they bought it out, but the taste has not been tainted in any way by the reformulation, if there was one. So yeah, okay, we've done 3, and that means have we got 3 to go? I guess we have, yeah. Okay, yeah. Next in my list, I'm going to totally agree that Dolce & Gabbana By Man has to be in the list. The only thing is it's not as old school smelling as the others, or it's a different kind of thing. I think once Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male came out, which is generally considered somewhat barbershopish, the game changed a bit, and things with a little bit more sweetness and a creamy, soapier, not soapy, a more metrosexual kind of feel became part of this whole barbershop thing. And this one has that about it. It's a little bit almost leans feminine maybe. I won't really go into this one so much because I think Ryan's description was fantastic and bang on. Beautiful combination, lavender and kind of soapy maybe, or powdery feel definitely in there, bit of a floral feel too, and it really has a certain sweetness combined maybe with a bit of citrus, maybe a bit of neroli in the opening to create a lovely creamy, wearable, modern, kind of fresh, yeah, definitely fresh, but still a little bit powdery and sweet smell. Very much, I think, follows on from Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male, but I prefer this one to that. So by man, sadly extremely hard to find and rather expensive usually if people know what they've got and they're selling it on eBay. So discontinued, hard to find. I was lucky to get one for a good price in a charity shop, which was a miracle, but you will probably have to spend big dollars. So yeah, that's the drawback with that one. Next up, yes, it's got to be in the list. It's Rive Gauche from Yves Saint Laurent. Again, Ryan's description is fantastic. A lovely shaving foam type smell, and this is the one that really follows on from AZZARO Pour Homme, because again it's got that anise type of note and a really heavy lavender and oak moss feel about it, but it just seems to be a little bit smoother, a little bit creamier maybe even more powdery, and just a little bit with a less of the rugged rough edges that I feel AZZARO Pour Homme has. I think it's just tidied that fragrance up for the 21st century. It was released in 2003. I must say the reissue in the La Collection series, to my nose, smells extremely similar. I can't really tell them apart, so I think you're okay to go with the modern version. It's about time we had one in the list that's easy to get and we can say today's version's fine. The new one actually has a clear bottle looking like this. Great scent. Either version that you can get, if you get the old one, it's better because the bottle is more fun, more collectible. But either version smells absolutely great, and I highly recommend either one. So I'm going to put one more in. Again, I wanted something a little bit more modern. The final one in my list then is a rather soapy smelling fragrance that I think qualifies as being a barbershop scent for me. It's an oriental fougere rather than an aromatic fougere, and it doesn't contain any lavender, so maybe it shouldn't qualify, but I definitely think it smells soapy, and it conjures up that feeling of what I feel is a barbershop scent. So it's Prada's Amber Pour Homme. Now I've got a little problem with the plaque on mine, it's come off, so that's a shame. So I'm going to put my little bottle there without the plaque, but it has a lovely little plaque on the front of the bottle that even lists some of the notes, which is great unless it falls off. The box looks like that, very nicely made box. Really nice soapy fragrance, doesn't have any lavender as I say, and I don't really think it has oak moss, but what it does have is a fantastic melange, as Max 40 would say, of soapy, clean, powdery kind of notes. So we've got bergamot, neroli and mandarin, a bit more citrus in this one. Saffron, there's some leather, there's myrrh, there's vanilla, and we also have tonka and amber. It smells like a billionaire's soap, the most wonderful expensive soap you've ever smelled, and just gives you that clean, fresh feel, but without really being like a really citrusy freshness. It's definitely soapy, but there's a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of depth and mystery in this one. So I think a really nice, beautiful, modern take for me on the barbershop genre, and highly recommended. You can still buy this one today, and Prada's maybe one of my favorites actually from the house of Prada. So I think that one qualifies definitely for the list. So there they were. Those were my favorite designer barbershop fragrances. What did you think of my list? Please let me know. Were there any that I left out? Almost certainly. Did you not agree with any that I put in? Were they barbershop fragrances? Was I wrong? Please let me know your opinions on the video. Remember, whatever we're doing, let's project, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.